And to be quite honest with you, we all need to be a little delusional sometimes. Hi, my name is Haley Comet, and welcome to my cosmic corner of the internet, where we discuss all things astrology, and today, all things Gemini New Moon, June 17th, June 18th, 2023, and you. How you are getting the opportunity during this new moon in Gemini to write your own story. And with it square to Neptune, to give it that fairy tale movie ending. Because this new moon is imbued with this energetic around being able to pull elements of your wildest fantasies and root them down into reality. However, Neptune, it's dazzling, it's dizzying, it's shimmery, it's shiny. Grounded, it is not. But sometimes we need to be a little delusional, or at least allow ourselves the permission to dream outside of the constraints of reality. Because if we only allow our daydreams around what is rational, what is realistic, what is practical, we keep ourselves blocked from where the universe is trying to guide us, where it's trying to reach us via what it is that we fantasize about, via what it is that we dream about. So it's important to work with the nuances of this new moon, because yes, it's permission to give your mind the space to wander beyond what you think is possible for you. Because I'm telling you, when you allow your mind to roam free outside of the constraints around, well, things like that don't happen for me, or could I possibly do that, or that's unrealistic. When you give yourself space to fully fantasize it, to fully imagine it, to fully visualize it, you are bringing that potential into reality. This is the time to be a little delusional, because I will say many of the inventions that we see, much of the art that we consume, much of the people that we admire, it all started with that delusion, with that ability to step out of our current reality, to fantasize about what it could look like, to visualize what it could be, to contemplate who we could be outside of the constraints of our own self-concept. Because I will say, with this new moon's ruler being Mercury, who's squaring Saturn, at this moment you can be feeling a little down on yourself or a little limited. Oftentimes when we're so rooted in reality, we can feel like this is all it is and this is all it will be. But this new moon whispers to you, no, there's so much more. The universe has been trying to reach you via your daydreams, via your fantasies. Your desires are not random. That vision, that bubbling within you, that desire to be an artist, that desire to live in that place, it is not random. That vision came to you because you have the capacity to fulfill it. And you might be saying, I don't know, Haley Comet, it feels a little outlandish, it feels a little out there. You need to give yourself permission to go there. You need to give yourself permission to step outside of the concept of how it is that you are now, how it is that you've been showing up now, and contemplate, what if I could be somebody who lived that life? What if I could be somebody who owned that business, who had that relationship? What would that look like? I'll be completely straight up with you. With this energy of Neptune, it's a little out there. It's a little dreamy. It's a little imaginative, but there's nothing wrong with being a little imaginative. There's nothing wrong with daydreaming. You are putting out potentials into the universe. And even if it's just a vision, you're still putting that energy out there. So it's really important to work with the nuances of this new moon, because I'm not saying that if you manifest during this time being able to move to a different planet, the laws of physics are going to move around to make it happen. I mean, who knows, maybe. But it's important with this new moon to give yourself the space for your mind to run wild, for you to daydream, maybe even going back to past dreams that you've had, that you shut yourself down because you're like, that's not realistic for someone like me. Reality would not support that sort of vision. This is the time to allow your spirit to wander with all of the desires, all of the dreams that it has. Because I'll tell you, it may not play out exactly how you see it, but there is an opportunity with this new moon to take elements of it. So maybe you were daydreaming about, I want to live on a different planet, but as you kind of bolster that vision around what it would look like, there gets an opportunity to move somewhere, granted on planet Earth, but has the sort of aesthetic that you are looking for, that has the feeling and the community that you were looking for in outer space. And you wouldn't have been able to bring that opportunity towards you in an energetic sense had you not bolstered the daydream. Again, not all of us are going to get the exact vision. Not all of us are going to move to Mars, but you can create Mars here, or at least put yourself in alignment with opportunities to pull in the elements of what it is that you're truly craving from living in Mars within your reality here and now. So within this video, we will be diving into our collective Gemini new moon forecast, the overall themes of this new moon. We will talk about your Gemini new moon ritual, how it is to work with this lunation. We'll talk about how to find where exactly within your chart you are getting this opportunity to bolster your dreams, because there will be certain life arenas that are more fertile for this sort of imaginative, potent energy than others. And then we'll take it through our house by house or sign by sign Gemini new moon analysis, so you can begin to tune into what new opportunity is building within your life. So before we dive in, I just want to make a quick note that if you do get any value from this video or any other content on my channel, I would deeply appreciate a subscription, a like, a comment. Those little nudges are just so helpful for me as a cosmic content creator, and I am so grateful. There's also some membership options on my channel if you wanted to check that out. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into our Gemini new moon forecast. So the Gemini new moon will land on June 17th at 9:37 p.m. PDT. Now do note, based on where you are located in the world, this new moon very well may land for you early on June 18th, or perhaps even later in the day on June 18th. Hence why we're referring to it as Gemini new moon, June 17th, June 18th. Think of that weekend, Gemini new moon weekend. And this new moon lands at 26 degrees Gemini. So Gemini within astrology is the cosmic connector. It connects the dots of people, of ideas, of concepts. Their job in astrology is essentially to be able to assemble all of this information and to be able to piece it together, to link together thoughts and people and concepts and ideas and be able to link it all together. It also deeply bolsters our mental facilities, our intellectual facilities. So with this new moon in Gemini, there's really an ask to be curious about what your story can entail if you give yourself permission to step outside of your current reality for even just a moment. The energy of the Gemini new moon is around being an eternal student, having that sensation of beginner's mind, of being able to step into new experiences, questioning, what will I learn? Who will I become? Can you be curious about your life journey? Can you be open to the possibilities and be open to the version of you that you will meet on the way? Now, Gemini is typically very gifted as it relates to writing and communicating. And so the ask with this new moon in Gemini is to understand the power that you hold in writing your own story. You are both the protagonist, but also the writer of your own story. And how boring it would be to read a book that's always rooted in the world of reality, right? Of what is rational and practical. Like with this new moon in Gemini, it's really taking this step out of your life. Again, it's an air sign. So it's almost like detaching from your life, taking a step back to contemplate, where do I want this story to go? What parts of me do I feel like I've had to suppress? What visions have I had to push into the background? What dreams have I had to kill because of this annoying thing called reality? And can I use this new moon to detach from my reality temporarily to allow myself to escape into my daydreams, to escape into my fantasies in order to attune to what am I dreaming about? Because what you're dreaming about is oftentimes an element of your current reality that you feel is missing. So again, there's something very imaginative about our visions at this time. Let's say you're daydreaming about being a mermaid. It's not saying you have to use this new moon to be a mermaid, but it's asking you, why do you daydream about being a mermaid? What sensation of freedom are you craving, or what does a mermaid represent to you? What are the experiences in being a mermaid that you would like to call into your life? Do you want to be able to spend more time by the ocean? Do you want to be able to go do your own thing and swim away from your reality? Why are you dreaming of that? And how can you incorporate elements of that daydream into your reality? How can you write it into your own story? How can you be curious about where your story is going next? Because when it relates to this new moon, it occurs on the same day that Saturn station retrograde. And as I highlighted, the ruler of this new moon is Mercury, who's squaring Saturn. So it's almost like reality is sort of like encroaching on our fantasies. We're just like thinking about being a mermaid just swimming under the sea, and then there's just like this annoying presence of reality saying that's not possible, you can't be a mermaid. And it's just kind of important to snooze reality for a little bit. Yes, you cannot literally be a mermaid within reality, but sometimes giving ourselves and giving our inner child the space to just daydream and visualize, it can signal elements of our life currently that we feel lacking in. And maybe you don't literally have to go be a mermaid. Maybe you need to go on an adventure. Maybe you need to spend more time on the ocean. What is this vision telling you? What are your dreams telling you? Also, Neptune has to do with the dream world, so you can also pay attention to what do I dream about and how can I write elements of it into my story. Don't allow Saturn and reality to encroach on the fantasy. Allow yourself to escape into the fantasy and take elements of it to root down into reality. That is the ask of this new moon. Now, with this new moon, it is also sextiling the North Node. So again, while there's a very ethereal, out there vibe when it comes to this new moon, there's elements of it that are supporting our journey forward. And I just want to highlight, because sometimes this question comes up, the North Node is currently in Taurus, but at a very early degree. This is at a very late degree of Gemini, so technically they do make a sextile aspect, even though typically the sign Taurus and the sign Gemini would not make a sextile to one another. Just to clarify that, because I know sometimes that can be confusing. But in terms of the degrees, yes, this new moon is sextiling the North Node. Sextile is an opportunity aspect. So it's almost this ask around if we could be curious about what our journey can entail, if we can step out of our reality and our reality that feels very limiting and maybe even restrictive for a lot of us, feeling very stuck into where it is that we are. And if we can take a moment to step out of that, to allow our visions to run wild, there can be valuable data enmeshed into it, and data that we can take into where the universe is pushing us next. Because Gemini is a very logical sign. It is an air sign, so it's all about what is logical, what is rational. And again, it's being influenced by Neptune, and Neptune doesn't do logical or rational. So it asks for you to use your daydreams, use your fantasies, use your actual dreams as data. What are they telling you? What do you feel like your life is lacking? And how can you integrate components of that into your current reality? That is what this new moon is asking you. There's also sweetness with this new moon, because yes, the ruler is squaring Saturn. So again, reality is kind of encroaching, being like, you shouldn't dream about that. You have permission to snooze. And with Mercury sextiling Venus, they're both at 11 degrees. So it's like this 11-11 energy. There's a sweetness imbued. And with Venus and Leo, there's an energy around, well, why couldn't I be someone who does that? Like, you know, you can have this dream and Saturn kind of awakes you from the reverie saying you couldn't possibly be a published author. You couldn't, that's not possible for you. But with the ruler sextiling Venus and Leo, it's like, why not? Like, Leo is the archetype of royalty. So it's like, why not me? Why not? I was given this desire for a reason. Am I blocking myself from this because I cannot even conceptualize that I would be somebody valuable enough for that desire? And how can I stop that line of thinking now? Like, again, this is a Gemini new moon. Gemini is about our thought processes. So it's like, where did these thoughts come from that make me feel like this is not possible for me? That reality will not allow something like that to happen to me? And how can I reframe my thought process to be like, why not me? Absolutely me. This desire chose me for a reason. Even though we have this Saturnian sort of encroaching on the daydream, it's almost like that vibe. You know when you're having a really like delicious dream in the middle of the night and then your alarm goes off and you're like, come on, for real? Like, that's Saturn's essence. It's like, time to stop dreaming. It's time to get back to work. And you're like, I want to see how that dream ended. Like, what the heck? Like, that's the energy of Saturn on this new moon. And I'm giving you permission. Snooze Saturn for a little bit, because you need to bolster the dream. You need to see the dream. You need to give yourself permission to go into the dream. It's trying to tell you something. Your spirit is trying to tell you something via your desires, via your fantasies, via your daydreams, if you allow yourself the space to go there and to go there fully. So often we are told that it is childlike to daydream and to imagine, but again, this new moon is giving you permission to do that, as well as digging up perhaps dreams and desires that you've had from the past and bolster them a little bit more. Why did you want to be a writer when you were 5? Why did you want to be a ballerina? What are elements of that that you can pull into your current experience and write into your story? How can you be curious about the pathway forward? Because again, with the Saturn energy, breathing down our neck, interrupting our dreams, right, with its annoying alarm, we can feel like we're stuck in our existence and this is all it's going to be. But Gemini asks us, how can we be curious about what comes next? How can we be open to what comes next? To see it as an opportunity to learn, to know that your life can look so different in a year. Your life can look so different in 2 years, and to be open to the journey. To give yourself permission to step out of this current reality, because reality, while sometimes it can feel very restrictive and it can feel very bleak and it can feel very stark, sometimes it can feel comfortable. It's like, oh, well, I've worked this job for 5 years, I'm good at this, or this is where I've always lived. There is something comforting about a very linear path. And this Gemini new moon is asking for a sensation of adventure. For asking for a sensation of curiosity. Maybe you block yourself from your dreams or from your fantasies because it feels dangerous to want these things, or it feels dangerous to want these things outside of your current existence. Or maybe part of you is scared to fully go into that daydream, to fully go into that desire. Maybe that scares you because you have not conceptualized yourself as someone who could live that sort of life or be that sort of person. This new moon is the time to give yourself permission to go there. I am not saying with this new moon all of our wildest fantasies will come true. What I will say is what this new moon will give you is an opportunity to dive into the wildest fantasies, pull elements of what it is that you truly desire and root them into existence. Use it as data. Why am I fantasizing about being a mermaid? Why do I want to live on a different planet? Why do I want to be a writer when I was 5? What are the elements that I can incorporate into my current existence? So if you really resonate with the energy of this Gemini new moon, let's talk about some Gemini new moon ritual ideas. So as you know, if you're familiar with my channel, I do a video on every single new moon and full moon. I always do a ritual section, and I always open it with a very important disclaimer in that rituals are something that are deeply sacred. It is deeply personal. So I want you to go with what it is that feels right for you. I just like to share some ideas just based on the astrological significations of this new moon in case you really resonate with the energetic of this new moon and want to celebrate it or really want to anchor this energy down. So first things first, when it comes to your new moon ritual, you have 3 days to do it. So like I said, the new moon exacts on June 17th, 9:37 p.m. PDT. If possible, you'll want to do it as close to that date and time as you can, but you do have a 3-day window. And of course, with this energy landing in Gemini, words are supportive. I would deeply recommend writing down what it is that you want, speaking what it is that you want, talking about what it is that you want with others. Use words to bolster the vision. Write down your dreams, what your literal dreams or your daydreams, write them down. Give it detail, give it nuance. Gemini is all about understanding the dream from a very mental, intellectual perspective, using the dream as data, using the dream as intel. Like I want you to, yes, meditate. We'll get into the Neptune aspect. It's new moon in a moment. But with this Gemini essence, once you get out of that meditation, write down what you saw. I want you to have conversations about what it is that you want. Speak it into existence. Give it detail. Give it nuance. I would also say this is a very supportive new moon to write a story. Literally, write a story with you as a protagonist. Like, you know, Haley moved to this place that she wanted to live and she lived in this sort of place. Like, give it detail, give it nuance, give it words. Like, write yourself as the protagonist of your story. Write a short story about your dream life. Give it words. See the vision, give it words. Have a conversation with someone. I've shared before the concept of dream walks. This would be a really nice time for a dream walk as well, which is essentially when, I mean, you don't have to walk. You could just have a dream dinner or whatever. But it's essentially when you meet up with a friend of yours, a loved one, and you essentially speak as if you guys were already in that essentially dream life. So sitting down with, you know, your lover at dinner and talking about, I'm so excited to go to our trip to Bali next week. Hey, did your business milestones come in? How did Q3 go? Like talking as if you guys are already in that energetic of your desires. I'm telling you, words is going to bolster the vision. Whether you write down a short story of your life, have a conversation, a dream walk, a dream dinner, literally role playing as though you guys are already in that vibration, or even voice memoing to yourself, filming your self-talk. Do something that bolsters the daydream, bolsters the vision with words. Now, with this new moon square to Neptune, Neptune is the planet that is associated with screens, mirrors, cameras. It's associated with the film industry, with the modeling industry, because it's all about the fantasy, right? And if you've ever been on a film set, you know a lot goes into creating that fantasy. A lot of, fog machines and optical illusions with lighting that creates that movie magic that we know and love. And when it comes to this new moon, I want you to see it like it is a movie. Like I said, movies are not real. To a certain extent, living on Mars, being a mermaid is not real. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't get lost into the fantasy. That's why music and movies, we love to get lost into the fantasy, into the projection, into the mirage. And that's the ask with this new moon in Gemini. So I want you to see it as though it's playing on a movie screen within your head. So having a moment in your Gemini new moon ritual to really see it as though you're seeing it on screen. It would also be very supportive to use photos to bolster the vision. So maybe you write your short story and then you pull in little photos for like a vision board. It's like, again, there's this mix of the words of the matter, that's Gemini, with the vision, that's Neptune. So using visuals to support you. I would also say random, but a super supportive thing to do with this new moon in Gemini, change your phone background, change your computer background to a vision board or something that you want, or something that reminds you of your visions or of your daydreams. Because Gemini governs the hands, we're always on our phone, and it is really powerful to see that every single day when you log on. So it would be very supportive around your new moon ritual to switch your background, charge it with that energetic around every time I look at this, I'm going to be reminded that this desire chose me, that there's elements of this dream that I can pull into my existence, and so it is. I will also say meditate, connect to your spiritual space, because you're going to want to get out of your mind a little bit. You have to get out of your mind and then get back into your mind to write down what happened, because Gemini has a lot of thoughts, okay? This is very overthinking energy. And Neptune has no thoughts. It just has feelings and visions. So I think it's important to step outside of your mind temporarily to like escape into the fantasy, just escape into the daydream. So whatever helps you get to that space of transcendence, whether it's, meditation, whether it's hiking, whether it's doing any sort of spirituality work, you're going to want to turn your brain off. Because again, your brain is going to be encroaching around that. Well, that's not possible. That's not possible. We can't daydream about being a mermaid because that's never going to happen. Again, you need to kind of snooze your mind, snooze reality, and escape into the daydream. So I would say anything around this new moon that helps you get to that space would be supportive. Now, my continual caution with Neptune is about escapism, it's about substances, because again, the euphoria that we feel when we indulge in these sort of substances is ultimately fake. Like Neptune is a projection, it is a fantasy, it's just a chemical reaction, right? It's why we feel that way. We're not actually happy when we're on these sort of substances or indulging in these sort of things. It's an illusion. So I say that simply because, around this weekend we'll have the Sun square Neptune aspect. Obviously Neptune's involved in the new moon. So I would personally resist indulging in anything of that nature, because again, Neptune can be a slippery slope, and you're gonna really want to connect to your spirit, because again, we're snoozing brain and reality so that our spirit can speak. Because again, your intuition is one of the most accurate voices that you will have in navigating this reality, but it's quiet. It needs space, it needs stillness for these dreams and these visions and these ideas and these epiphanies to really bubble up from this space. So I would really intentionally create some space to tune in, to drop in, and then as the vision subsides, write down what came up. Use it as data, use it as intel. What is your spirit telling you? What are your dreams telling you? So now that we've gotten super familiar with the energy of this Gemini new moon, let's talk about what this means for you. What is activating within your chart? What dreams are coming to the surface? So to do this, we'll want to find out which house this new moon lands in based on your chart. So there's a couple of ways that you could do this. So the first being, if you are newer to astrology or you utilize whole sign house system, what I want you to do is look at the timestamps below and find your rising sign, also known as ascendant. Find that sign, advance to the timestamp, that is your reading. If you use Placidus house system, I do as well, a little bit more complicated, but I'll show you how step by step. So what I want you to do is go to astro.com. put in your birth information, and from here you'll get a circle chart like this. Amazing. Find the Gemini symbol. It looks like this. I am circling it on screen. It's like yellow-orange in Astro. So from line to line on this outer circle, that is the Gemini portion of your chart. So follow where that symbol lands, like go to the inner ring and find those little numbers. We see within this example on screen that Gemini lands within the 6th house and the 7th house, or at least it expands throughout those degrees. So you can either listen to both and take whatever resonates for you, or we can get specific and find out where exactly 26 degrees Gemini is, because that's where this new moon lands in for your chart. So to do this, you'll want to find essentially 0 degrees Gemini, where it all starts. So this will be the line that's the closest to the Taurus symbol. I'm circling it on screen, it's green. So where Taurus ends, Gemini begins, that's 0 degrees. So these little grid marks indicate increments of 5. So it goes 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, right? So it's pretty close to the Cancer section. Cancer looks like this. You can circle it. So where Gemini ends, Cancer begins. I mean, it'll really be the later portion of Gemini, but if you can find that 25-degree grid mark, it'll be right around there. So we see within this example on screen that it most likely lands in the 7th house. Now, if you are unsure, you're like, Haley Comet, it looks like it might be in the 7th house, it might be in the 6th house. How can I find out where exactly? So Astro has a tool for that. So you'll want to hit PDF additional tables, and on the right hand side you'll see that they have a handy dandy table that lets you know where every house begins. And just a PS, AC signals the beginning of the 1st house, IC signals the beginning of the 4th house, DC signals the beginning of the 7th house, and MC signals the beginning of the 10th house. We were unsure between the 6th house and the 7th house, so we'll want to see where the 7th house begins, right? If 26 degrees is after that, we know it's in the 7th house. If 26 degrees is before that, we know it's in the 6th house. So here we see that the DC, aka the beginning of the 7th house, the 7th house begins at 23 degrees Gemini. So because 26 comes after 23, we have certainty that it lands within the 7th house, and then you would advance to that reading. So now that you have found out which reading to listen to, let's go ahead and take it into our sign by sign, house by house Gemini new moon analysis. So if you are a Gemini ascendant, or the Gemini new moon lands within your 1st house, this reading is for you. So you are getting this new start. So I always think of new moons that land in our 1st house as a personal new year for us, essentially, because 1st house is obviously the 1st house of the chart. So it's the beginning of a new cycle. And again, new moons is when it is that we invite in the new into our existence. So you are getting this personal new start. Okay, this is your true happy new year. It's not the beginning of the year. It's not Jan 1. So when it comes to 1st house, I want you to know that the sky's the limit. Like I was saying that with the energy of Neptune in general, sky's the limit. Do not allow reality to encroach you. But I also don't want you to feel that your manifestations at this time are limited to any particular life arena. That's the gift of the 1st house, because 1st house is self, it's identity, it's you. And so it really is around envisioning the who you want to step into. Okay, it's envisioning that. It's daydreaming about what would my dream life entail? How would people react to me? How would I dress? The self who has everything that I want, how would they dress? How would they enter a room? What's the vibe that they give off? That is what it is that you are anchoring in at this time. I will say manifestations around your physical appearance, around your style are supported, because this is the most visible house of the house wheel. It's essentially how it is that you show to this world, hi world, here I am. So if you feel like you've been struggling with confidence lately, again, this new moon is such fake it till you make it energy. It's like, what would it look like to walk into a room being ultimately confident? What would it look like to walk into rooms with your head held high? Because again, confidence in essence is a bit Neptunian, right? No one knows if you truly do have it or not. It's something that you project. Is it always real? Not necessarily, but this new moon is sort of this energy around project it until you feel it. Because when other people respond to you in that way, it becomes real, right? Sometimes it is something that you need to step into. Some of you may be trying to overcome any sort of shyness, and this is so supportive, like with this Gemini new moon, to see yourself as someone who is a social butterfly, to see yourself as someone who is flirty or who is forward with your ideas, right? To see it within your mind's eye and to plant it within existence. What would it look like to walk into that room? What would it look like to walk into that networking event? What would it look like to have your dream ideal style? style. Like envision it, make a mood board of your ideal personal style or your ideal fitness routine or anything of that nature. This new moon is supportive. It would be a really long time to make a vision board of your ideal personal style, or even the energy that you want to give off. Like, what do you want people to feel when they're talking to you, when they're in your aura, when you're in their presence? Make a vision board of that and also write it down. This is how people feel. This is how I enter rooms. Is supportive here. I also want to let you know this new moon is most likely squaring Neptune, that is in your 10th house. Your dreams in career can be bolstered during this time. Okay, this is career, this is legacy, this is public persona, this is stardom, essentially. Like with the energy of Neptune in the 10th house, if you've dreamt about being famous, if you have dreamt about certain elements, this is the time to contemplate, why do I dream of that? Why do I want people to know me? Or what talents do I want to share the world? This is the time to be a little delulu, like how the kids are calling it, around those visions. And again, it's gonna take you on a different path, because that's the essence of Neptune, is that Neptune fogs. It's never going to play out exactly how you see it in your fantasies, but there will be moments in when you're like, whoa, I visualized something so similar to this. It'll take you on a different path because it's a spirit-led path, and because it's divine timing, it'll be even more magical than you could have even imagined, okay? And you never know what that desire is trying to get your attention. Like, I'm sure you can experience this just with past career goals. Like for me, ever since I was little, like literally before, weirdly, I even knew how to read. For some reason, I always knew I wanted to be a writer. Like that was my dream. That was my desire. That's really what I wanted. And no, I'm not a writer, but I storytell on the internet. Like there's elements of that I pulled into it, right? So it's giving yourself permission to fantasize about your wildest dreams within career. And I'm not saying you will, suddenly be a socialite. I mean, maybe, who knows? But it's more so around pulling elements of it. Like, what are you truly desiring in being a socialite? What are you truly desiring in being a pop star? And bolstering that vision, because you never know how you are aligning with your purpose and how your purpose is trying to get your attention via these daydreams. And again, it'll take you on a different path than you could have imagined. It'll take you on an even more beautiful path than you could have imagined. So if you are a Taurus rising, or the Gemini New Moon lands within the 2nd house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. So with this new moon, it's really an aligned time to plant the seeds as it relates to your finances and as it relates to your self-worth, okay? Some of you are really doing some work right now to reframe your thought processes around how it is that you value yourself. Because with this square to Neptune, this is the time to fake it till you feel it when it comes to your confidence, when it comes to your self-worth, okay? You need to start reframing yourself like, I'm a valuable person, I am worthy, and project that. And I'm telling you, it will become real, okay? That's the gift of Neptune. If we can step into our Delulu Neptune energy and kind of project it, obviously not ostentatious, not in a boastful way, but if you can step into environments, whether it's raise negotiations, whether it's new social environments, going to approach someone that you have a crush on, if you can go into those situations with your head held high and just like exuding this quiet confidence that maybe you don't feel, but you're able to project, the moment that other people respond to you, it becomes real. Does that make sense? It's like, if we can get into that energetic of projecting that, the moment that other people respond to it, it becomes real. They see us as a confident person. They see us as somebody who is worthy. They see us as somebody who is valuable. And I want you to anchor that in. I also want you to be conscious of your scripts, of your loops, of mentally how it is that you talk to yourself about money, around how it is that you talk to yourself about your value, about your worth. This might be a really aligned time for my business owners or anything of that nature to really look at your prices. How much have you felt like you've had to be limited by reality? Now, granted, there's a fine line here, right? Because we don't want to charge things outlandish. But again, your services, your products are worth whatever people will pay for them. I saw a TikTok the other day of a psychic, and she was basically saying, yeah, to work with me for an hour, and there's like 2 WhatsApp, I think, follow-up questions. To work for her for an hour was like $4,000 or something. And I was like, whoa, that's wild. But she was like, that's the value that I provide. And people pay it all of the time. And I know that what I give in that hour is worth $4,000. That's what it is that I provide. So if you are someone where your business has felt stagnated by, well, what will people pay for it? Reality, this is industry standard. It might be a really aligned time to go to the drawing board and really reflect upon the value that you are transmitting, because money is value. That's what it is. And your time is valuable. Your essence is valuable. Your words are valuable. And so with this new moon, a really aligned time to contemplate that. that? Are your prices feeling limiting at this moment? Like, you know, if you are a business owner, when an order comes through, are you like, yay, oh my gosh, this feels so good? Or is the energy kind of like, oh my gosh, another order, I have to do this, or oh, this is so draining. Like, again, there's an energetic to money. It should feel equal. The amount that they give you and the amount of value that you provide, you should feel good after transactions. You should feel happy when orders come in and not overwhelmed or stressed. It should feel like a fair, energetic exchange. Now, for those of you who don't have your own business or don't desire your own business, again, with the energy of new moon and second house, really align time to plant down seeds for new ways to make money, especially with your words. Randomly, this will only be a message for a couple of you. Some of you are going to, during this new moon, start a new journey around making income via your words, whether with the square to Neptune, whether it's like screenwriting, poetry, something very dreamy with your words. Maybe you want to write a poetry book. Randomly, just a lot is coming to me right now. Gemini governs the hands. Maybe some of you want to start doing tarot readings or make more money during tarot readings or something of that nature, or anything with your hands or anything with your words. I'm just seeing that there's a new start to start bringing in some income around these pursuits. I want to let you know this is the new moon to work with, okay? And I will say energies that are more Neptunian. So Neptune is about the arts. It's about spirituality. That's particularly supported. So anything that has to do with hands or words around the arts or spirituality is super supported. Some of you are planting down seeds to really leverage social media and marketing in order to bring more money in. And that's another thing. Fake it till you feel it. Okay, fake it till you feel it. It is so uncomfortable to put yourself out on the internet. It is so uncomfortable. Like, I'm a 12th house moon. Like, what am I doing on the internet? I've always been someone who's so shy. I know I'm sitting here with a ring light, but I do not like to be perceived. I do not like to be perceived. It overwhelms me a lot, but I will say, I used to be very in my head around what are people gonna think? What are they gonna say? And you just need to get to a point in which you know that showing up online is gonna provide more, finances for you. Maybe it's promoting something. And again, exuding that confidence, even if you're like, is this poetry book any good? Or like, are my tarot readings annoying? Are people annoyed that I keep telling them that I do tarot readings now? It's like, no, you need to be a little delusional. You need to project it. You need to tell people about it. That's how you will bring in more money. I'm just seeing there's like a lot of opportunities around like social media, marketing. Maybe some of you are like conceptualizing like rebranding or like changing how it is that you show up on social media in order to bring in more income. Some of you are needing to project this confidence around just like showing up, just owning it, like being like, whatever, I know this is cringy, I'm lip syncing to this TikTok, but I don't care because it's aligned with my spirit, right? And I'm gonna project, yeah, I'm confident until I feel it. And you will feel it. Like, I'm telling you, at first, my first couple of posts on the internet, I'm like, I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know. Now I put out so much content, I literally do not even think about it. I'm so cringy and I don't care. That's where you have to get to. And again, it took me projecting, like, I don't care. I know I'm cringy, whatever, until I genuinely felt it, and you will feel it. So that'll only be a message for a couple of you. So outside of business and more money-making techniques, some of you are reworking your mental processes around money, okay? With the square to Neptune really aligned for any sort of money manifestation, money mantras, money affirmations, really tapping into the energetic of money. Honestly, allowing it to flow to you. Neptune is, the ocean, allowing it to flow to you. Because I'm telling you, there is some truth to stuff like that. It is kind of wild. Because again, I know Saturn's encroaching, saying it doesn't work like that. Money doesn't grow on trees, right? But with the square to Neptune, it's really allowing yourself to step into your ability to attract money. Because I'm telling you, money can come from all sorts of weird ways. It can come via checks in the mail. Like, again, it's tapping into what it would look like to live your most abundant life. And again, with the square to Neptune, you don't necessarily need to be so focused on the why. Yes, with the energy in Gemini, you need to put things out there. You need to tell people what it is that you're working on. But with the square to Neptune, money will find you in mysterious ways, okay? You just need to follow what is interesting you at this time. So this would be a really aligned time to do the woo-woo money manifestation stuff. I'm telling you. Money mantras, read a book on the psychology of money. There really is something about it. Pay your bills with gratitude. Seriously, like, treat money in your life with respect. You could even do like a money ritual, like a little money jar or something of the nature around this new moon. Because I'm telling you, we have these spiritual dimensions of Neptune in the second house of money. So you might receive some random spiritual ways to make money or some avenues in which you can bring more money to you. If you are an Aries rising or the Gemini New Moon lands within the 3rd house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. So you are essentially calling in this energetic of sharing more, communicating more, and learning more. Some of you are planting the seeds around being less socially awkward, or at least just more socially open to making new connections. Maybe some of you have a hard time like reaching out and saying like, hey, we should hang out. Like some of you are doing some work around feeling more safe to speak your truth, or to speak out invitations, or to be able to go into a room and network and communicate. A lot of you are bolstering this energy around feeling more comfortable speaking out who it is that you are and being open to new connections. Because I want to let you know that with this new moon squaring Neptune, which is most likely in your 12th house, your mind is both a transmitter and a receiver. And what I mean by that is that a lot of spiritual messages can be coming to you at this time via very small talk sort of conversations. That conversation that you have with your neighbor, that conversation that you have with your cousin, and you learn a fun fact here. Somebody says something here that you think about and you're like, wow, that was pretty profound. Like a lot of times people can be oracles just within our daily life, just our daily experience. We can really get downloads from the divine via other people. Like your cousin might have just been telling you about, I don't know, octopi, but for some reason the way that they communicate that information led to this profound epiphany about something within your life that is occupying too much space within your mind. Okay, not a great example, but essentially small talk that triggers spiritual realizations around wow. But I also want you to know, looking at other people as a vessel for the divine to reach you, but also knowing you can be communicating divine truths if you bolster your voice enough to speak them, enough to say them. We are all intuitive. Just psychics and intuitives really chisel that connection and trust the downloads enough to speak them. You can find that when you have that nudge around, oh, I want to go talk to that person, or like, oh, I want to tell my sister about this, or what have you, those can be nudges from the divine. Again, we think of divine inspiration and things of that nature can come only in these grandiose ways. 3rd house is our immediate environment, right? Using your environment as an oracle, using your communication with other people as an oracle or a way to tap into the divine, because that's why there's this energy around wanting to share more, wanting to connect more, because the more people that you connect with, the more opportunities the divine has to reach you, the more inspiration that can be found via connecting with all of these different people. So for some of you, there's this energy around getting out there more, talking more, communicating more, feeling more comfortable sharing your thoughts. This will only be a message for a couple of you, but some of you are doing some work around building social media around your spiritual gifts, or you're just going to trust your intuition that it's time for you to start sharing on social media. Okay, that's definitely something that's building here. And for some of you, you're gonna have to get over certain resistances around, oh, well, who wants to hear from me online, right? Who wants to hear from me online? In essence, you could be blocking what it is that the world can really benefit from, because you're like, who would want to benefit this? I'm telling you, we all have different dreams for a reason. Like if you are sitting there and you're like, for some reason, I want to start a podcast. For some reason, I want to do this. Again, I know there's a lot of podcasts out there, but that is not the same desire as every single person. Like that urge that you have within you around, I want to start a podcast. It's both something that can be helpful for your life purpose, but I also want to extend it to, it can be something that can help other people. Like I remember when I was starting off on my YouTube journey, I was like, if I could teach one person one thing about astrology, that would be worth it. That would be worth it. Because like astrology is something that's enriched my life so much that if I can enrich someone else's life in one way, in one small way, that is worth my time, because we're all here to give and to share. And that's the energy of Gemini, is how much we can give and share one another via what it is that we have learned, via our minds, via our acumen, via our skill sets, right? And being able to share with others. So I don't want you to feel outlandish. Like again, we tend to judge our desires around, that's so out there, or that's unrealistic, or that's selfish or narcissistic that I want to show up online. But maybe it's for a bigger purpose beyond you that you just don't conceptualize yet. So some of you are diving more into your intuitive gifts, feeling more comfortable sharing them. Some of you are just stepping into an energy around being more visible on social media, stepping up more so as it relates to sales, things of that nature. Some of you are stepping into learning a new skill, maybe a spiritual skill, but it also could be really anything hands-on, like a new skill you want to learn, as well as just being more open to learn within your experience, as well as I'm really seeing that energy I was telling you about around other people can be oracles. Your environment can be an oracle. Your neighborhood could be an oracle. Go on a oracle walk. Like walk around your, neighborhood and notice what it is that you see, the flowers and the murals. If these had messages for you, what would they be trying to tell you? Like that's something when I do readings, I take also messages from the 3D to inspire the reading. So like, for example, let's say I'm in a particular house and giving a particular reading, and then, my coffee spills. That happens all the time. Or, there's a noise outside. Like, again, you could write them off as coincidences, but a lot of times I find, oh wow, there's a noise outside. Like I notice there's a lot of noise within your brain. Part of your work with this new moon is to be able to cut through the clutter to tune into your own intuition, right? I spilled my coffee. There's parts of you that could be feeling really frantic. Like again, the 3D world, our immediate surroundings, can have spiritual truths if we create the space to drop in and to listen. So for some of you with this Gemini new moon, it's around just being more aware, being more present, being more open to random connections, being more open to random omens within your immediate reality, and understanding that it's all data, it's all ways for your spirit to speak to you. If you are a Pisces rising or the Gemini new moon lands within the 4th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. And you have this new start as it relates to home, as it relates to family, as it relates to emotional state. This is literally the most sacred components of your existence. This is, I always think of it as the roots of the tree. Like this is what's beneath the surface, the strength that you've cultivated, the roots that you come from, that people don't see. They just see the branches. They just see the leaves. They see your outward success. They see what it is that you project. They don't understand the amount of work that went into that, right? That's what's under the surface. That's what 4th house is all about. And with this Gemini moon in the 4th house, some of you are really stepping into this energy around really wanting to understand your emotions, really wanting to understand your emotions as data, really wanting to understand your emotions as something that could be telling you something. Because you don't need me to tell you this. Okay, a lot of you guys are Pisces rising. You guys are currently having Neptune most likely in your 1st house. A lot of you guys are psychic as heck, intuitive as heck, and maybe you don't trust it. You don't trust it as data. Maybe you write off your emotions around, oh, I'm just so emotional. These are all ways that the spirit is trying to get your attention. Like your emotions is when you are trying to get your own attention, right? Honoring your emotional guidance. Like if you go into situations and all of a sudden you're feeling very angry or very sad, like again, you can be picking up a lot from those around you. I'm feeling strongly a lot of you need better boundaries, okay? A lot of you during this new moon are really planting the seeds to have boundaries to detach, okay? Like it's both observing the emotions, it's not making the emotions wrong, but I'm just seeing this energy around you've just been a sponge. You've been soaking up a lot. And with this Gemini new moon, it's like really just separating yourself from it, like literally sending back all of the energy, all of the emotions that are not yours back to their respective individuals. So I want to let you know during this Gemini new moon, you can be playing with spiritual protection techniques or emotional protection techniques during this time. Whether it's like mantras, because again, there's very word emphasis with this Gemini new moon. So maybe it's mantras, maybe it's affirmations, maybe it's just at the end of every day saying, I call my energy back. And at the beginning of every day saying, I'm in this protective bubble. Like again, using words to bolster your energetic field, because I feel a lot of you are judging your emotions or judging how tired you are, judging these instincts around it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. But it's like a lot of this, it feels like it's not yours. So part of your Gemini new moon is developing better boundaries around your just emotional and energetic regulation. This won't be a message for everybody, but I just feel called to relay it to you. If you are on the internet at all, if you work with a lot of people within the general public, I'm letting you know you have Neptune in the 1st house, okay? You need to make sure you are sealing off your energy, okay? You need to make sure you are protecting your energy, because the thing about Neptune is that it dissolves and it's in the 1st house, which is like your auric field. And so when you have Neptune in the 1st house, your defenses are low. Yes, you're more intuitive, you're more psychic. Again, there's this energy around you're more empathetic, you're really feeling for people, you're really in the heart space, you're really compassionate. But again, these are all things that can make you get taken advantage of. So I just feel strongly with this new moon, you're really stepping into this energy. If you read tarot, it feels very Queen of Swords to me. Like it feels like you're stepping this energy around being more logical, being more intellectual around your own emotions. I'm like, does this make sense that I'm taking on all this stuff for these people? Does this make sense that I feel so exhausted at the end of, the workday? Probably because I've been listening to my coworker, moan about their problems. Like there's almost this essence around just detaching around that is not my problem, not my circus, not my monkeys, and also just doing things that energetically seal off your energy. I feel called to just share with you. So I'm not a Pisces rising, but I am a Pisces sun. And I met with an intuitive. If you watch Magic Monday, this was the intuitive who told me to wear lip gloss. She pulled me aside. It wasn't even a reading. We were just at a social gathering. And she pulled me aside and she said, do you mind if I share a message with you? And I said, sure. And she was like, you need to wear lip gloss. And I was like, okay, what's going on? Like you expect this like major thing around your life purpose. And she was like, you need to wear lip gloss. And I was like, what? And she was like, or reflective jewelry. She didn't even know me. She doesn't even know me. But she was like, for some reason, there's a lot of people's energy attached to you. Like you're not repelling it. You're just keeping it on you. And it's leading to all of these things that I have been experiencing. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she's like, when you go on the internet without sealing off your energy, she basically compared it to having like unprotected. She's like, you're just opening yourself up for energetic debris from, other people. And I'm sure not, intentionally or maliciously. She was just saying, if you are online in any way, it's really important that you have regular energetic maintenance to kind of take care of yourself. So maybe you're not online, but if you do kind of interact with a lot of people, but in general, you might just need better protection. Some of you, this is around home. Some of you, this is around your roommates, family. Okay, I'm just feeling there's this energy where you need to step into this energy of detachment. Not my circus, not my monkeys. That is not my problem. Because it feels like a lot of you are taking on people's problems as your own and it's weighing you down. And this is the time to be really logical around, why do I feel like this? What are my emotions trying to tell me? Are these even my emotions? Are these even my emotions? Some of you are planting the seeds around a new place to live, I will say. A really aligned time to write it down. Write down the details. Like, in the notebook where she's like, I want a white house with blue shutters and a window looking over the river so I can paint. Like, that's the vibe of what you should be planting into existence during this new moon. Giving it words with a square Neptune. Give it a vision board. Give it a vision board, give it words where it is that you want to call in. Like I've been saying with Neptune energy, I'm not saying you'll get that exact mansion, but there can be elements of it. Maybe you gave it blue shutters and then a house goes on the market that has blue shutters or what have you. Or manifesting a better living situation. If you are feeling drained with roommates, if you're feeling drained with family, really aligned time to plant down the seeds around getting a better abode for you energetically. There's something about this energy I'm just feeling you guys are just taking a lot on, and this new moon is just saying no more. I need to be rational about this. I need to be logical about this. It's coming from a caring place. You guys are very caring. You guys give a lot of yourself to it, but Saturn's also most likely in your first house. Boundaries, my love. And what's fascinating is that when we stop saving people or like running to people's rescue, it actually supports them more a lot of times. When we get ourselves out of the loop around, well, I gotta save them. It's all on me. It's all on me. I'm telling you, sometimes being stuck in that loop, it keeps them in that loop of being the victim and you being the martyr who's constantly saving them. If you can break the loop around, hey, actually can't pick you up today at 2 a.m. They will figure it out. The loop will break. Again, that won't be the story for everybody, but some of you, I feel strongly, you've been in a loop and it's like, well, I have to save them. I have to save them. This is what I have to do. It's like, no, sometimes the best action is inaction. That's the energy of Pisces. The best action is going with the flow, letting things fall where it is that they may, letting people's journeys play out how it is that it is meant to. And again, showing up, being a kind, compassionate human for those that deserve it. But if there is somebody who you are constantly having to save, this is a Gemini new moon, you need to save yourself. You need to save yourself. This won't be a message for everybody, but some of you could truly benefit from talking about your emotions more, from talking about your feelings more. Whether that's talk therapy or just communicating to people, hey, I'm going through this, like being more vocal about what it is that you're moving through. Maybe it's for yourself, maybe it's just journaling or voice memoing, just talking to yourself about what's going through. I'm feeling that there can be something helpful around linearly and intellectually processing what is going on. Because again, when you write out every single day, I have to pick Cynthia up at 3 a.m. because she's such a mess, you begin to look at your words and you're like, wait, this is kind of messed up. When you could take yourself out of the emotions and put it into words, you can like look at words, because again, it's like an objective look and be like, wait, why am I having to rescue this person at 3 a.m. every night? Like, why is she not learned by this point? Like, there's something about words that can be more clarifying sometimes than emotions, because again, with Neptune first house, they're very swirling at this time. Also, some of you will have a call around this time to be more curious about your family lineage, your ancestry, wanting to find your, parents or reconnect with somebody. That's a very Gemini essence as well, and really wanting to get to the core of where it is that you come from can be very supported at this time. If you are an Aquarius ascendant or the Gemini New Moon lands within the 5th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. And your new start is really playing out around creativity, around self-expression, and around play. A lot of you, the new story that you are writing is around writing a story in which you have the freedom and you feel that it's appropriate for you to have fun, to like play more. Like, I'm really feeling some inner child themes coming up with this reading, in that some of you need to go back to the drawing board around what did you used to want when you were 5. If you're feeling lost and detached and just sort of like, just feel like you're floating through life, go back to who it was that you were when you were 5. What did you dream of? What did you want? And how can you pull in elements of that into your existence? Maybe you can't be a professional ballerina, but maybe you could take some dance classes and connect to what your inner child really resonated with being a ballerina, which is being able to be free to move, right? Maybe you used to dream about being a writer. I used to dream about being a writer. Like, maybe you can write for yourself. Like, again, I'm really feeling this strong call around reinvigorating your lust for life by revisiting your inner child and pulling in elements of those dreams into your existence currently. And for some of you, just planting the seeds around having more fun. Straight up. Like, Gemini is very fun, curious energy. 5th house is about play. So even if it wasn't a hobby that you had when you were younger, this energy, just be curious about life. Like, for some of you, I'm feeling this call around, you're wanting to experience life more. You're wanting to go out more. You're wanting to flirt more. Maybe some of you are wanting to date, and you're taking this very lighthearted approach. You're allowing things not to be so serious. Now, granted, a lot of you guys are Aquarius rising, so the transits as of late, I mean, you guys are pretty much in the clear, but the transits have not been easy, okay, for Aquarius risings within the last couple years. And so some of you are recommitting to your lust for life after things got very heavy and very serious. Some of you are really taking this moment to up-level your creativity. You're really committing to your creativity. Like, some of you randomly, it's squaring Neptune. So some of you are planting the seeds around getting back into photography, getting more into videos. Neptune governs screens, mirrors, cameras. So really anything that has to do with photography, videography, anything that has to do with images, right? Maybe you're wanting to model more. Maybe you're wanting to get with your friends and take some photos. Like, it could be fun. Not everything has to be about work. Like, you're really reinvigorating this lighthearted approach. So if you were somebody where life has been feeling stuffy and boring and you want to have a fun summer, this is the new moon to plant the seeds around having more fun, doing things just for the heck of it. Like, one of my really good friends is an Aquarius, and she's actually a photographer, and every so often she'll hit me up and be like, do you want to take photos? And she always has these wild ideas. Like, we're doing one on the 11th where I'm going to be doing my hair super big, and I'm wearing this like faux fur coat and heels and fishnets. I don't know. It seems she wants me on the staircase. I don't know. It seems wild, but I'm down. It's fun. It's like, why not? Like, why not create art? Like, why not create beautiful things? On that note, I'm not saying that the only art that's supported is videography and photography. Any sort of art, my love, especially writers, poets, anything of that nature is super supported with this new moon. Comedy, anything involving words is super supported, but truly anything that's around creativity, self-expression, and reinvigorating with your lust for it. I feel strongly some of you have lost your lust for it, because maybe some of you, it's gotten serious, like you've started monetizing for a hobby, and it just, your relationship to it changed. Again, I feel some of you just got disconnected, life got busy, so you stopped making time for these things to make you happy. But some of you, I'm feeling this essence around, you do it so much that the play and the zest sort of like kind of burned out. And this new moon can be a call to really protect your hobby in a sense, or get back to what it is that you loved about it, okay? Because when you are a creative person, it's so hard, because when something starts to be successful, it can be very suffocating, because your relationship to that hobby, which used to be just very playful and fun, it changes. It's different now. And for some of you, I feel there's this energy. Let's say you've been taking photos, you've been doing all this marriage photography, and it's great, the money's good, but you're like, this isn't why I got into photography, right? There's like a call to get back to, why did you get into photography? You like to take a picture of nature. Like, have a day where you do that, right? Safeguard your hobby. It needs to be protected. It's so hard hard when you start making money from something creative. It's like, gotta earn more and more money. But for some of you, there's almost this energy around, I need to protect this. So maybe it's cutting back on shoots or cutting back on content or only doing content that you want to do in order to protect the raw zest in it, because people feel that passion. And some of you, maybe you haven't been creative before and you're craving that. With this Gemini new moon, pick up a camera, try writing a short story, try writing an epic, try writing a haiku, write, play. It doesn't need to be perfect. This new moon quite literally gives you the permission. It does not need to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be productive. Your only rules is it needs to be fun. Let yourself get lost in the fantasy with the square to Neptune. Allow yourself to get lost in the dream around, oh, wouldn't it be cool if the painting looked like this? Wouldn't it be cool if I wrote a short story like this? Get lost in it. That's another part of the creative process. When we have this Saturn encroaching us, it's like, well, what's going to make money? Or like, what's gonna make your publishers happy or whatever, that can kill the daydream. This is a time to snooze Saturn and create something just for the heck of it. Just lose yourself in it. This new moon also lands in the sector of dating and romance. So it's either a call to get back out there. Okay, and take this Gemini witty energy. I mean, literally the energy Gemini is like champions of flirting. Like, I'm not kidding. And so for some of you, you're planting the seeds around sharpening up your wit, sharpening up your game. Like flirting more, putting yourself out there more. For some of you who are in a committed relationship, this is the energy around being able to infuse that flirty, lighthearted banter in your connection, being curious, asking them questions, flirting with them, right? Infusing that energy. I will let you know, outside of inner child significations, this is also the house of literal children. So some of you can be planting the seeds around wanting to conceive. Sometimes it's a physical baby, sometimes it's a passion project. Some of you are wanting to encourage better conversation with your children that you have, a better relationship with the children that you have, wanting to communicate with the children that you have, or something of that nature. But truly, this is a new moon to really plant the seeds around allowing life to be fun again. And yes, with this energy of Neptune, you know, life isn't always fun. It's not always roller skating and ice cream, but sometimes it should be. And you need to ensure that you give that within your world and snooze reality every so often. If you are a Capricorn ascendant or you have the Gemini new moon landing within the 6th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. And the focus here is really on how the minutia makes the big picture, on how our daily routine supports the big picture dreams. It's all about how the little details support the big grand vision of it all, because 6th house is the house of the little details. It's how you start your morning. It's how you brush your teeth. It's when you go to work. Like, it's all of the little components of our life. And with this Gemini new moon, there's like this energy around wanting to infuse more lighthearted curiosity. Like, again, the fact that we wake up is miraculous. The fact that we wake up and we get to have these vessels and we get to live this life is magical. But oftentimes we get so stuck in the mundane. It's like, gotta do this, gotta do this. Like, for some of you with this Gemini new moon, you're encouraging more play or more fun or more curiosity or more connection within your day-to-day, because this might feel like a day like any other. You're, watching YouTube, you probably ate for breakfast what you typically eat for breakfast. Like, things can feel like, oh, it's just a day like any other. But you will never live this exact day the same way. You could talk to somebody on your way to your car to go to work that you've never communicated with. When you go to coffee, you could have the person in front of you buy your coffee. Like, there's so many shifting dynamics, and we forget that. Things feel so mundane. We forget to find the magic within the everyday, the magic within the mundane. So some of you with this Gemini new moon are reinvigorating your curiosity around what the day can hold. Like, you're realizing today is a new day that can behold new opportunities to connect and new opportunities to learn and new opportunities to learn more about myself. Some of you, I feel strongly, you're not happy with where it is that you work, and I just want to say this Gemini new moon is giving you permission to conceptualize what it could look like for you no longer to work within this particular industry, because I shared a story about this in this week's Magic Monday if you watch my weekly horoscope series. But I know how that feels like, to feel so trapped and you're like, I don't know where I could possibly work. Like, this might be the best that it can be. Like, the job market isn't looking great. Like, I just feel so stuck. I feel so stuck. With this Gemini new moon, it's around just being able to envision a life outside of this role, envision a life outside of this job, because I guarantee there are potentials everywhere. I guarantee if you're not happy where it is that you are working, there is a way out. You can be doing something else. Like this is a new moon in which miracles can happen. Like it's squaring Neptune. So with this new moon, it's really aligned to call in a new place of employment and to be curious. Like maybe it's outside of your typical industry. Maybe it's pulling from a past skill that you haven't leveraged, and just be curious around, what will I learn here, right? Who will I become here? Maybe some of you are kind of in your comfort zone within your particular role currently. You're like, I'm not exactly happy here, but I know what it is that I'm doing. And this Gemini new moon, it's like, what can you learn? Who could you be if you step into a new adventure, if you step into a new place of employment? Some of you are stepping into this curiosity around your health. You're really wanting to optimize how it is that you feel. And again, can you view it through this beginner's mind? Like again, you could think of eating healthy as just like spinach or whatever, but can you make it fun? Can you make it playful? Same with like exercise. Can you make it fun? Can you learn something new? Can you move your body in a way that feels good? Maybe it's supporting your mental health. Some of you are very nervous or anxious. And with this Gemini new moon, it's really around finding a physical activity that roots you into your body, gets you out of your mind. Some of you guys are overthinkers, okay? I'm tapping into this energy and it's like my mind is like going so fast. But when it comes to this new moon, it's almost around having ways that ground you into your body, that support you, as well as, I don't know the specifics because I'm not great with herbs and stuff, but maybe there's an herb that will support you or ground you down. Like I think burdock, my friend was telling me. You'll have to do research, but maybe this is the time to plant a seed around, actually taking those shots of apple cider vinegar, or supporting your body with an herbal tea in the morning rather than coffee, like doing things that will support your overthinking or your anxiety. Because again, with 6th house and with this ruler squaring Saturn and Saturn stationing retrograde, a thing too about Saturn. A lot of you guys are Capricorn risings. When we feel stuck in something, we feel like this is all that it can be. So again, if you're somebody who is very nervous or neurotic or like has a lot of thoughts, you could be like, this is all that it's going to be. And granted, I know a lot of people do struggle with mental health and things of that nature, but this new moon is asking, what are some ways that I can support it? What are some daily habits that I can do that'll calm and quell the overthinking while supporting my body at the same time? But outside of health significations, this is a time to encourage any sort of ritual, whether you've been trying to, get your nails done more. Sorry, Gemini rolls the hands, or you've been wanting to read more. Like again, this new moon is super supportive of this, as well as routines that support your mind. Okay, maybe it's journaling helps quell the overthinking, because 6th house is like all the details that you guys have Gemini in part in your 6th house. So I just feel like your guys' mind is just always on all the details. And so finding rituals that help ground your mind, whether that's, journaling, whether that's walking more. Again, it can be related to health or it can be related to mental health, emotional health. Finding routines that help anchor you and ground you. Even if that's not necessarily something you struggle with, contemplate, what are the routines that will support me living my ideal lifestyle? Maybe I need to make a habit of like making my bed every morning. Maybe I need to make a habit around watering my plants. Maybe that'll remind me to water myself. Like there's a real lens with this new moon around self-care. Self-care that soothes the mind, self-care that invigorates the spirit by looking at every day as an opportunity to learn. Like I said, I feel a lot of you will be reading more around this new moon, or planting the seed around a certain reading goal that you want to hit in order to plant down the seeds around continually learning, continually being open to new information. As well as I would say, if you are calling in a new position, being open to putting out feelers, bolstering your communication style to make connections, nurture your colleagues, nurture your network in order to facilitate that. If you've been trying to open up more so with your coworkers, this new moon is super supportive. Ask more questions, be more curious, be open to connect. This new moon is supportive of this. As well as for some of you, you can be calling in a new pet or something of the nature. So if you are a Sagittarius Ascendant or the Gemini New Moon, so 26 degrees Gemini, lands within the 7th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. And the new start for you, my love, is all around connections. It's all around relationships. Now, you can either use this energy to bolster your current relationships and partnerships, or to call in new ones. So let's talk about how you can use this Gemini and this Neptunian energy in regards to your current connections. So if there is some past stuff that you've been holding on to, like you've decided to restart this relationship, you've decided to restart this friendship, but you're still upset about some stuff. You're still holding on to some stuff. I will say this new moon can be a new start within your connection because it's squaring Neptune. Neptune softens the heart. Now, keep in mind, not everybody always deserves our forgiveness, but I do feel for some of you, you've been really wanting to deepen this connection, and it's hard for you because there's still old stories and old stuff kind of that you're holding on to. This is giving very clean slate energy as it relates to what's building within your chart, to really open your heart, to soften your heart, to really let this person in. I also want to let you know that if you are trying to bolster your communication within your connection, this is a really aligned time to work on it, as well as to be open to new experiences that you can have together, whether that is traveling, taking class. Like Gemini is a very lighthearted, playful energy. Like, how is it that you guys can explore together and expand together? That is the ask. That is the new start that is building for you within the cosmos. Some of you, not all, but some of you may be using this energy to manifest a new home for you and your partner. You could be moving in with your partner or want to move in with your partner, or you guys already live together, but you're wanting to manifest a new home. You most likely have Neptune within the 4th house. So really aligned time. Have your dream home on a vision board. Write down what it would entail. Write down what it would look like, what it would feel like. See it as though it's playing on a movie with this energy of Neptune. And random, this will not be a message for everybody. But I want to let you know, for some of you out there, there can be certain ways that your upbringing, your home, your even lineage, ancestry, I mean, Neptune's in the 4th house can go really deep, can be impacting your current connection. So there can be certain, arguments that are beyond just even what's happening in the here and now. It's like based on, trauma, your background and your past, and these dynamics are coming to the surface within your connection, perhaps unintentionally, right? And with this new moon, there's almost this awareness around understanding how your past can be influencing your current connection, and perhaps even carving a space to move forward together. This does sextile the North Node. Now, if you are not in a relationship and you are ready to call one in, I'm letting you know this new moon can be supportive of calling in a soulmate. Like Neptune is soulmate. Some of you, again, I keep talking about relationships. Some of you need to let go of a toxic, maybe it was like a karmic thing, like you actually want closure at this time, I'm feeling. And with this new moon squaring Neptune, maybe where you need that soft opening, compassion, and forgiveness is actually towards yourself. Forgiving yourself for that era of your life and just keeping it moving. Okay, that'll be a message for a couple of you. Or just really creating closure as it relates to your relationships, really honing in what it is that you want within your future connection, really wanting to learn through a partner with energy in Gemini, really wanting to be spiritually uplifted with the square to Neptune. And with this energy, sometimes we could be a little idealistic, a little delusional. Again, it's a good thing. So I would write a list. I would literally write a list of everything that you want in a partner. And I would look at that list and ask, am I currently showing up as this? Could I meet this person's energy? Because with this new moon squaring Neptune, there are a lot of you guys watching this right now who will be calling in your soulmate. Like calling in your soulmate. I'm not somebody who resonates with the terminology twin flame, but if you do, like Neptune's very that. It's very soul bonds, right? And Neptune can get dark. Like Neptune can get dark, let's not get mistaken. But again, calling in the higher vibration of Neptune, someone who ascends you spiritually, who takes you to the next level of your spiritual journey, who makes you feel like the world is bigger rather than smaller. That's who you're calling in. A lot of you will do that. But what I want you to do is write down everything that you want and then ask, am I showing up as this? Could I meet this person's energy? Because that's the energy here. It's soulmates. It's people who pour into one another. And so some of you, you're creating closure from your past connections in order to call in this person, right? With the energy of the square to Neptune, maybe you're finding the spiritual meaning of why you had to meet this person. Maybe you're finding forgiveness within your own heart. Maybe there's connections being made around how that relationship was playing out certain dynamics within your family that you have to heal from and you're ready to move forward. Again, with the Gemini new moon, you're curious about your person who's coming up, and you're using words to bolster it. Now, outside of romantic relationships, marriage, this is also contracts. So some of you can be calling in a contract of some sort. Like I said, it's squaring Neptune in the 4th, so a great time to think about home, but just be mindful because Neptune can be a little nebulous, right? So be discerning as it relates to moving or anything of that nature. So all in all, this is a great energy to really hone in on your current connections, ensuring that they are as communicative as possible, that you're learning all the lessons that are coming up in this lesson of of life school within your connections, as well as being open to new people who could expand your mind, who could expand your soul. If you are Scorpio rising, or you have the Gemini New Moon landing within your 8th house, so that means 26 degrees Gemini landing within your 8th house, this message is for you. So for you, the new start that you are essentially creating the groundwork for is around feeling more open to receive from the universe, receive from your connections. When it comes to this new moon, some of you can use this energy to really plant the seeds around more money coming to you in very unusual, mysterious ways. And again, when it comes to Neptunian sort of moons, the how is not your responsibility, okay? You just need to be open to more money to reach you. Like 8th house is support from others. Again, money and abundance can reach us in a myriad of ways. It can reach us via an idea that someone offers to us. It could come via a gift or other people's money. I do want to say, if you work in an 8th house realm, 8th house is other people's money. If you manage other people's money, if you work on something like commission or something of that nature, 8th house is very beneficial to really plant the seeds around inviting more lucrative deals your way. And honestly, with the square to Neptune, visualize it, meditate, just see money pouring into your bank account. That's a powerful meditation. Like just envisioning yourself looking at your phone, and like every time you refresh, more money coming in, more money coming in, more money coming in. I'm telling you, all of that woo-woo money manifestation stuff, that's what you should bolster during this new moon. Again, and try not to panic around, well, how is it going to reach me? Just focus upon, I am a magnet of abundance. The how is the universe's responsibility. I'm just aligning with that vibration. I'm doing what makes me feel abundant. It's not so cut and dry as the 2nd house. It's just support that's offered. So maybe you really want a new fridge, and then you're focusing on the new fridge, and then someone's like, hey, I have this old fridge. Do you want it? Like, again, money and support can come to us in a lot of different ways, and that's what you're leaning into. Now, to a broader sense, some of you are really leaning into releasing fear on life. Let's be real. A lot of you guys are Scorpio risings, and Scorpio is a funny energy because yes, it's the sign of transformation, but they go into transformation kicking and screaming. They have a tendency to cling, right? And some of you are clinging. You're clinging to this particular iteration of your journey, even if it's not serving you. So a lot of you are getting out of your comfort zone, and you're planting the seeds down to welcome in this new transformation, and to do so in a more lighthearted way, like a curious way. Just being like, I wonder what new version of myself I'm going to meet on the other side of this. I wonder who I'm going to meet. Random, this will not be a message for everybody. Some of you are going to be taking a class to understand your spirituality deeper, to start talking with the other side. I mean, Gemini in your 8th house, it literally feels like some of you can be tapping into some mediumship abilities or wanting to take a class in order to sharpen that connection to the other side. Just gonna say, I feel some of you, you're really planting seeds around trusting your intuition, as well as trusting the support that comes to you, not just from this dimension, but also beyond. Okay? Because when it comes to this energy, you can be a little suspicious. Like if someone does something nice for you, you could be like, what's their intentions? And this is a new moon to start seeing the good in people, or start trusting that people can have good intentions for you and can want good for you, and to be open to connection. Some of you are really doing some work around healing, honestly. Like you could have felt betrayed in some way, and with this new moon, you're really softening your heart space in order to be open to intimacy, to be open to merge. Some of you, because it's considered in some realms of astrology that 8th house can indicate intimacy, this energy of merging. That's not always so much a traditional concept, but if it resonates with you, this can be a new start around being more communicative about your intimacy, desires, your needs, your process of healing. Like vocalize what it is that you need, vocalize where it is that you are if you're not satisfied with that arena of your life. I will also say, for those of you who are married, really beneficial time to have a conversation around where our finances going, to plant seeds around joint investments, around merged income, better ways that you want to manage it or structure it or organize it. And beyond just this concept of transformation that I was speaking about, 8th house is death. And some of you with this Gemini new moon, you are not letting yourself be arrested by your fears anymore. You're not going to keep your fears keep you from living. You're really anchoring into this new mindset around being open to life and what life can bring you, what life can entail. You're really approaching things through this lens of what could happen rather than what could go wrong. Like you're going into this very curious energy, because again, we have this very deep house with this very curious, lighthearted energy. So it's almost like approaching these darker, deeper topics of, death and merging through this curiosity around how will I learn about you as we merge? Or what will I learn in this experience called life? You could be so scared of death that keeps you from living. Be like, oh my gosh, when am I going to die? But you're so scared about it that you forget to live. Like this Gemini new moon is like appreciating death, appreciating that our time on this planet is limited, and really just wanting to learn all that we can learn during our time here. If you are a Libra rising or the Gemini new moon lands within the 9th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. And you are really getting out of your comfort zone, okay? You are going on an adventure. You are going on an adventure. You're going into uncharted territory. Now, the uncharted territory that is calling to your soul, that is up to you. But you are learning to look at life through the sense of optimism and like what could happen, what life could entail. Because some of you, I'm feeling like a lot of you are Libra rising, so you strive to be very balanced about things. And so whenever you have really high hopes about something, you could be trying to like balance it, being like, well, let's be realistic. With this Gemini new moon, you're really anchoring in this kind of like positive mindset, like you're having a lot of faith in the journey. And you're really stepping into your ability to alchemize what has happened to you and like be very positive about it. And a lot of people could be like, why are you being so positive about that? Like that was not an ideal situation, but you're almost just like, like you're taking the lessons. You're taking the lessons and you're really integrating it into your mindset, and you're really using faith in your journey around, it must not have been meant to be, or like must have just been a snafu there, and you're just keeping it moving, my friend. And I just personally need to cheerlead you about that. If you're not there, this is the new moon to plant the seeds around having more faith in your journey. And I'm feeling strongly faith in yourself also. Some of you have been doubting yourself. You believe other people more than you believe yourself. So some of you have to have faith that your desires were given to you for a reason and that they are not random, and to step onto this new adventure with curiosity, not needing to know every single pit stop that you'll take on the journey, just staying, fixed upon the destination, but open on the route is really the ask here. And when it comes to any road trip, there's moments of challenge, right? There's a flat tire here, have to stop for snacks here, but there's just this energy where you're just open to what could happen, and you're taking the bad, you're alchemizing it into the good, and I just need to celebrate you for that. Or if you're not there, again, plant the seeds to get there. Some of you are planting seeds around traveling, okay? You need to get out of your environment. If you are not inspired by the people you connect with in your immediate environment, it's time to go. It's time to go. It's time to get around people that you are inspired by. It's time to have inspiring conversations with people from foreign countries. Like that's the vibe with 9th house. Now, there's a vibe for some reason that you feel like people around you are very shallow, like your interests are just shifting. And with this Gemini 9th house energy, maybe you're not physically traveling abroad, but maybe you're being intentional about getting into spiritual communities, or you're getting more into spiritual readings online. Like you're doing things to fill your brain and to connect with people who see the world like you do. Like there's something around, you're kind of feeling shallow, you're feeling out of step. It's like, why do you guys prioritize that? I just prioritize something different. And during this new moon, you're being open to get out there. It's always nerve-wracking when you step into the astrology club for the first time or what have you, but you're networking, you're connecting with people who are like-minded, especially around your spiritual beliefs or spiritual interests, because this could be religion, this could be spirituality, this could be anything that gives you a sense of faith. It just really feels like there's a call to want to be around like-minded individuals and to bolster your social skills in facilitating those connections. Some of you are stepping into a master's program. You're stepping into inviting in better grades, or like an internship, an extended learning opportunity. Maybe you're thinking about getting certified in something. I just want you to know this new moon is super supportive for it. I would say with the square to Neptune, you could be idealizing it a little bit. You could be like, going to law school, being like, aren't I just going to be like Elle Woods? And the thing about Neptune is that reality is never going to be Neptune. Like Neptune will sell us the dream, right? It's like law school, it's just going to be, pink fuzzy pens and all of this. But when you get there, it's hard, right? Like I truly have a belief that if we knew how hard certain things were, we would not want them, right? Like we can fantasize about the mansion, but the upkeep of the mansion, like that's going to be a lot, right? But again, we wouldn't take this step if we didn't know all those details, and that step is what's going to allow us to grow. I'm not saying don't dream of continuing education. I'm just saying that with the energy of Neptune is dazzling, it's seductive, and it's not quite the truth of the matter. So know that at this time you could be glorifying or idealizing, whether it's a higher education opportunity or traveling. When it comes to any adventure, whether you're pursuing this adventure via education, via traveling, there's moments that there's a flat tire. There's moments that you don't do well on a quiz. There's moments of all-nighters. Like When it comes to any adventure, there are hardships, and that's the beauty, that's the fun of an adventure. Again, with the Gemini New Moon, you're writing your own story. And any sort of book that you read, there's some hardships. And I find that you guys are not only setting out on this venture, yes, you might be a little idealistic with the square to Neptune around what the adventure will entail, but you're also setting off with just positivity around, there's gonna be stuff, but I'm gonna figure it out. And you will. That's the beauty of it. So if you are a Virgo Ascendant or the Gemini New Moon, so 26 degrees Gemini, lands within the 10th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. And the new start for you is all around career and public persona, how it is that you want to be seen and writing the narrative by which you want to be perceived. But let me tell you, you can write a story and people can perceive it in their own way. Okay, that's what's beautiful about art, is that people write songs and they have a certain intention for it, but we perceive it colored by our own experiences in a particular way. That might not have been what they intended to write, it's how we perceived it, and that's what makes art art. Can that be infuriating when you're like, oh, I didn't mean it like that? Sure. But is it magical? Is it powerful? Is it the purpose of creating and sharing? Absolutely. And you are releasing control of how other people perceive you. How other people perceive you is none of your responsibility. Your work is to write what it is that you want to write, share what it is that you want to share. How other people will receive it is out of your hands. And I know, because a lot of you guys are Virgo Ascendants, and I know not having that level of control can feel quite uncomfy, okay? But that's the ask with this new moon, is to just focus on sharing the most resonant message that you can and to let go how it's received. Now, the reason this is coming to the surface is because Neptune is most likely transiting your 7th house of the general public. There can be certain messages that are misconstrued. There can be certain people who are projecting onto you. Honestly, there can be some random people who are enemies or projecting weird energy onto you, okay? But that's not your responsibility. Like, I feel like that's happening because you're shining. I feel like that's happening because you're shining. And again, you don't need to pay it any mind. You don't need to worry and try to correct the narrative. You just need to focus on writing the most true message that you can, sharing the most true message that you can, creating the most true content that you can. That is your job. That is your lane. That's where you need to stay during this Gemini new moon. With this Gemini new moon, when it relates to your career, I want you to know this is an incredibly beneficial time to call in any sort of marketing opportunities, to call in enhanced social media visibility. This is the most visible house in the chart, my love, and you're getting a new start to really be open to new eyeballs, because I want you to know, new levels, new devils, okay? When you get to a new level of visibility, it's going to attract new, for lack of a better term, weird energy. Your way, okay? Weird people projecting onto you. It's just part of it. More eyeballs, more success. It's just par for the course. And I feel some of you, because a lot of you are Virgo risings, you want to be perfect or control everything, and that could be suffocating your growth. Like, this is a time to be open to visibility, even if 100 eyeballs on you does bring a couple haters. Like, again, visibility to your craft, to your business is worth it. When it comes to this Gemini new moon, if you are not in the industries of writing, social media marketing, like the very Gemini industries, I want you to know this is an incredibly beneficial time to leverage marketing and sales and networking. If you want a new job, you're not happy where it is that you are, this is a really aligned time to be reaching out to colleagues, reaching out to past people you've connected with. Like, when it comes to Gemini, a lot of our blessings come from connections and fluttering and being open to network, okay? If you don't know what you want to do with this Gemini new moon, really aligned time to plant the seeds around taking people on lunch dates, asking about their career. Really use your voice, speak it into existence, talk to them. Do you envy their lives? Do you want their life? Could you do their job? That is the ask with this Gemini new moon. Some of you are calling in enhanced visibility opportunities. Like I said, it could be, something in the media, it could be something in marketing. Maybe you're committing to showing up. Maybe you've been arrested by this idea around, well, I can't control the negative. Narrative? What if I share this and people misinterpret it? Again, that's from their perspective. If you speak true and you speak from integrity, how people perceive it and perceive you is none of your business. You just need to show up, okay? Regardless, because this new moon does sextile North Node, so it can be where the universe is pushing you. A lot of you have been wanting to share content of a spiritual nature, and this is your push. This is your push. Share your message, share your craft, okay? Random, I mentioned this earlier as well. Gemini governs the hand, so maybe some of you are a tarot reader and have been wanting to share, because again, with the square to Neptune, you could be very intuitive as it relates to other people's energy, and that requires more protection I want to let you know that, okay? If you are on the internet, if you work with the general public in any way, I want you to be very intentional about doing regular energetic maintenance, really taking care of yourself. I just want to share, I'm also a Virgo Ascendant, so I always pop in with these readings every single time because it's like themes that I'm working with currently. I shared this briefly within the Pisces Ascendant as well, but I met with an intuitive, and it wasn't even met with, it wasn't a session. She took me aside at an event and said, can I share a message with you? Never met her. And she was basically saying that I had all these people's energies attached to me. She was like, it's very cluttered and it's not your stuff. I was like, what? And then we started talking more. She didn't know anything about me. And so then I told her that I was online and stuff. And she was like, well, have you been doing your protective rituals before you film and after you film? And I was like, no, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. She was basically saying when you're online without sealing off your energy, it's very easy for people's energy to attach to you. And again, I don't think it's necessarily malicious. I just think more eyeballs on you, you know, eyeballs attention, that is energy, and you just need to be more intentional about protecting your energy. So that'll only be a message for a couple of you, but I just wanted to share that it might be helpful because you have Neptune in the 7th house. So you could be picking up a lot of people's stuff, even if you're not online. Customers, clients, you need energetic protection, okay? Just so you can seal off, that's not my stuff. That's not my stuff. That is your stuff. Because some of you are calling in more balance when it relates to your work and life, perhaps. You're calling in more learning opportunities as it relates to work. You're wanting to learn. You're wanting for it to feel fun again. You're wanting to feel excited again. Because that's the funny thing about being a Virgo rising. You can learn things really quickly. You're like a jack of all trades. Like you can learn things really quickly and you can get bored if you're not learning something. So some of you are calling in a career in which you feel like you're learning. Some of you are calling in a promotion, okay? With the square to Neptune, see it within your mind's eye. Some of you, when it comes to manifesting new career opportunities, definitely envision the person you'd want to work for, or the ideal client, I would say is really supportive with the square to Neptune. But all in all, this is a time to really plant the seeds of visibility, of putting out your truth, of speaking your truth, truly of Gemini in this very public house. You're here to communicate, okay? You're here to share information. You're here to disseminate information. So I want you to let go of whatever has been blocking your voice, whether that's your fears of how other people will perceive it. Again, a lot of people will misunderstand. That's not up to you. Some of you need boundaries around, I'm here to share, I'm here to teach, I'm here to disseminate information. People can receive it if they're open to it and leave it if they're not. Again, some of you with this Gemini new moon, you're calling in visibility, but with more visibility requires a need for more protection. Both protection to an emotional level so that you're not feeling sad if people don't understand it or if they misunderstand it or something of that nature, but also energetically protection so that you're not picking up all of this residue and debris from other people's energy that's coming your way. And also, since Gemini does govern the hands, outside of spiritual significations, if you're not looking to start a spiritual business, again, this new moon's supportive for that. But outside of that, with this Gemini energy, any sort of sales, any sort of marketing, anything that you do with your hands, if you're trying to do a new trade, okay, super supportive to put the word out there, put some energy, learn something that'll help you get into that pathway. If you're at a job that you don't like, be open to learn all that you can here, but put out feelers for where it is that you're going next. Some of you are bolstering your communication with a boss. Some of you need better boundaries with the boss. Okay, I'm feeling that strongly. You need a conversation. You need the strength to speak your truth around your need for boundaries. Again, there's this energy. You're picking up other people's stuff. You're making other people's problems your problems. Not my circus, not my monkeys. It's very much a vibe. You need to learn discernment. You need to detach a little bit from work. Again, this is air, new moon, your 10th house. What you do is not who you are. I know it's hard because most likely your ruling planet is also your midheaven ruler. So in this very essence, you do find yourself via work to a certain degree. But some of you need discernment and detachment because you're picking up a lot of energy from the people that you work with. And some of you need a conversation with the boss, an authority figure, about better boundaries or how to detach more or how to advance and grow so that you feel like you are learning within your industry. But all in all, this is the time to be open to visibility, open to advancement in career and the new lessons of life school that it'll entail, and be open to the new versions of you that will emerge as you continue to build your career to the peak of its ability. If you are a Leo ascendant or the Gemini new moon lands within the 11th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you, and you have basically a free spot. Basically, when it comes to new moons in the 11th house, it's a free spot in that I don't want you to feel too limited by the significations that I'm going to share with you, because I want you to know first and foremost, this is the sector of hopes and dreams. So if it's a dream that you have, this new moon is supportive of it, right? So you can take this energy in just about any direction that you are feeling soulfully inspired, because I'm really feeling with the square Neptune, listen to what your soul is longing for. How is your soul trying to get your attention via your dreams? How is your soul trying to get your attention via your desires? Pay attention. Take some time around the new moon to kind of like slow down. If you're listening to this and you're like, Haley, I don't know what I want. Take a moment to slow down. What is your soul speaking? What does your soul feel like it's lacking from your current experience? That would be a great way to tune into what hopes and dreams are really pulling at your heartstrings. I want to let you know 11th house is also large audiences, and Gemini is a sign that is very much about networking, and it has to do with social media. And so some of you are planting the seeds to either grow your existing social media following or start a new one. Some of you can be really tapping into, I have something valuable to share and I want to share it. And this is the new moon to really plant the seeds to be able to speak clearly, as well as to have the confidence in order to share your message, your truth. And furthermore, what I really want you to focus on in your manifestation is the people you want to call in, like the like-minded souls that you want to call in. Like, I could honestly start crying if I think about it, because I'm a Pisces, but like when I think about the people who I've connected with from this channel, it's so beautiful every time I pop on a consult with them, because there's so much resonance. I feel like my audience is just these really, really empathetic, compassionate, gentle souls. And I feel so grateful that they were magnetized to my work. But I think to a certain degree, we do attract what it is that we are. I mean, not to pat my own back saying I'm compassionate and gentle and all that, but all I'm saying is really hone in on who are the people I want to reach, or rather, what have been my experiences and how can that be a guiding light for other people who have gone through that, right? How do I have a unique perspective? How am I an inspiration to others? Because I know you guys are. A lot of you guys are Leo risings, okay? You are here to shine. So this is a moment to really drop into, what am I called to share? How am I called to reach individuals? What is a unique perspective I have based on what it is that I've moved through? And how can I call in the resonant souls who will feel in alignment with that message? Some of you with this new moon are calling in community. You're calling in friendship, okay? And I feel for some of you with the square to Neptune, you're calling in friends who feel on the same spiritual wavelength. You could have experienced that certain friendships sort of fell away. I mean, you guys did have Saturn on your descendant a little bit ago, which can put pressure on all sorts of relationships. And so I'm curious with this Gemini new moon, if you're really calling in people who feel on the same spiritual wavelength. Like, again, you know, friendships, they come, what do they say? They come in for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, right? And we just need to gently understand when things are over, because there's just not resonance, and we can't drag people. As much as we love people, we can't drag people to also be on the same wavelength of where it is that we are going within our journey. Like, we could have so much love for someone, so much great memories for somebody, but if there's not resonance any longer, if it doesn't make sense any longer, you just need to let go with gratitude for what that person showed you and like kind of keep it moving, right? Take the lesson in it. I feel that strongly with the Gemini new moon. Take the lesson in it as data. Maybe some of your friendships wasn't exactly letting go with grace and gratitude. Maybe it was letting go with a little bit of drama, but all in all, from a soul perspective, there just wasn't resonance. And so perhaps some of you kind of let people go, or perhaps during this Gemini new moon, you're planting the seeds around just gracefully disconnecting while calling in people who all are soulfully on your same wavelength. Like friends, soulmates is the vibe here. Because soulmates can show up in many different people. Like, you can have soulmate friends, and that's the energetic that you're tapping into here. Some of you are really craving someone who sees the world similarly to you. Like, you guys have similar, morals and values and goals and ambitions. Some of you, it's calling in people who have similar interests to you, okay? So whether you are focusing on bolstering your physical community, your online audience, there really is a focus upon who am I surrounded by, and how can I plant the seeds to call in and nurture the connections that truly see me, that see my soul and are aligned with my pathway forward. If you are a Cancer ascendant, or the Gemini new moon lands within the 12th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. And the focus here is really around your secret self. It's on your shadow self and the story that your shadow self has to tell, okay? Because I feel for some of you, you have been suppressing certain components of you. Because I feel for some of you, you are really diving into your shadow at this time. And shadow is not this mean, scary thing. We need shadow to have light, because I do notice with this new moon, it is squaring Neptune within the 9th house. So a lot of you are really tapping into your intuition and your sense of faith, and you're really bolstering what in your life is making you feel free and expansive. But I want you to know that we can't have the light without the darkness in life. So I feel for some of you, there's this energy around coming to terms with your shadow self. Like, I think we all go through that in our spiritual journey. Like, you know, we get awakened, and sometimes we can feel like, oh, it's all love and light and it's all good. And it's like, it's not. There is some darker attributes to being a spiritual person, and this new moon feels like creating peace with it. Now, what I mean by shadow self, I mean the parts of you that you've been suppressing or running from, or the parts of you that you feel are ugly or bad and are hiding. Like, this is a new moon to really create peace and create self-love for all of you, even the parts that you do perceive as ugly, as well as the parts of your spiritual journey that you have been running from. And what I mean by that is, here's the thing about spirituality. We can use it to escape reality. Okay, we can either use it to clarify our existing experience here as humans, as life school. That's how I think it should be used. But a lot of times in our spiritual journey, I know I went through this, a lot of people do. Okay, so it's no judgment from me. But sometimes in our spiritual journey, there can be this energy around, well, I'm just more enlightened than people around me. Or, yeah, I made that mistake, but it's because I have this big calling. Like, again, it's all good. I'm not saying beat yourself up, but it's just around creating peace with all that you are, the dark and the light, as well as the aspects of you that maybe you're using spirituality to run away from. Around, I don't have to deal with, you know, this horrible situation I went through. I'm just going to get lots of readings and distract myself, or anything of that nature. There's just an energy around creating peace with all that you are, the light and the dark. There's also this call around really releasing escapism, because like I said, there's some themes of that coming up. I don't know if you guys have been running from stuff with spirituality or with traveling, but there's this energy around running from yourself, and like, this is a new moon in which you're catching up to yourself. And it's really around creating stillness, creating solitude in order to process what's been coming up. Some of you are ready for certain endings in your life, and this new moon is really you creating the foundation in order to call them in. You're really craving clarity. You're really sitting with yourself. Like, I'm seeing within my mind's eye the Hermit card, if you read tarot. Like, I'm just seeing this new moon as a time for you to withdraw, to reconnect to what your dreams are. Yeah, because that's it. So I feel strongly that some of you, because again, the North Node is most likely in the 11th house. So it is a time in which you are growing through community and networking and all of these facets. But what I will say is that other people's dreams are not yours. And while this is a social time for you long term, this is a new moon to kind of separate yourself from your friends temporarily, or from your community, or from going after your hopes and dreams, to be like, what is it that I want? Because the thing is that we can kind of take on other people's dreams and desires and priorities as our own. And this is a new moon to separate yourself, get clear, connect to your soul space, to be like, what is it that I truly want? Some of you are using this new moon to enhance your spiritual connection, your intuitive gifts. Some of you are getting good at channeling, truly, like via voice, like being able to tap into the divine and to give it words, to like automatic write, to connect with the other side. Like, I'm telling you, some of you are bolstering that, or at least you're planting the seeds around taking a class to better understand these gifts. Some of you even, I mean, this is a very private house, so no pressure if not, but some of you may be feeling called that you want to share about your spiritual journey. It's in Gemini. You want to share about what's coming up, right? You have Neptune in the 9th house, so your intuition is on point right now. So I'm not saying all spirituality is bad. I just want you to ask, am I running from stuff? Am I using spirituality to just like love and light the darkness away? Or am I really learning from my experience, right? Am I really learning from the lessons here? Am I really staying aware to my loops? Am I using this to enhance my experience or escape from it? That's the ask here. You're really asking for clarity during this time with this in the 12th house. You're really asking for clarity in order to lift any illusions that you've been under for a while in regards to other people's intentions or things of that nature. Like, I want you to know, if someone ever reveals their true colors to you, that was your spiritual support team protecting you. And with this new moon here, you might be just kind of planting the seeds around clarity around these aspects of your life that you don't have awareness around right now. And I want you to know, sometimes it can be a little, ouch, wow, I didn't know you were like that, or I didn't know that opportunity was like that, or I didn't know there was people like that. Like, it's not always a pleasant awakening that I'm talking about. But what I will say is this is about clarity. And once you see something, you can't unsee it. And I guarantee you it'll make you a better person. It'll support your spiritual journey. And to have that clarity, you have to be appreciative of the dark and the light, right? Like, we can almost keep ourselves numb, not wanting to face certain things in our life because it doesn't fit our love and and light, you know, outlook. But again, we have to face the bad sometimes because there is bad. Everything's in duality. Gemini is the twins. We need to appreciate that. So I think a lot of you are getting a lot of spiritual downloads, and you're really calling in the clarity to be able to tell what are truly bubblings from source energy versus what are delusions or illusions that you have been under. And you really just need to work on discernment. I would really advise staying away from alcohol or drugs during this time because clarity is the focus here. Stillness and clarity. If you have a hard time just sitting in solitude, sitting in silence, this is a new moon to really plant the seeds, to really listen to your underlying script and what it's telling you and what your intuition is telling you, and trust the dialogue that it's communicating to you. So my love, this Gemini new moon may be a little delulu, but we need to be a little delusional every so often to allow ourselves to go on a journey completely into our fantasies, completely into our imagination, and then to look around in our dream world. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What are we doing there? So that we can take elements and infuse it into our reality here. So it's such a delicate balance. Of course, Gemini, the twins, all about duality. We need to be able to balance the fantasy with the reality and understand that both have a role, right? We need to escape into the dreamland every so often to give our soul sustenance as well as clarify our desires so that we can pull them into our reality here. So my loves, I would love to hear, what are you calling in during this Gemini new moon? My Instagram handle is @HaleyCometAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I would love to connect with you over there. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.